Sabrina 70s comic, issue 70. Hilda asks Sabrina why she's sitting in the house when it's a nice day out. And Sabrina says she's comfortable reading in the living room. Shouldn't it be obvious to Hilda that the outdoors would be full of distractions, like cars driving past her? But she's being distracted here too by them, because she didn't have the common sense to do her reading in her bedroom. She says that she doesn't like bugs either. Somehow, Hilda doesn't believe her, even though she hated camping, so she should understand not liking the outdoors. She thinks it's because Sabrina doesn't have any friends to pal around with. What happened to those slumber party friends? Did her magic scare them off and she was too hurt to erase their memory of it? Also, I haven't seen her hanging around with the Archie gang for a while. They think that Harvey's the Jinx, not her. Hilda thinks she should summon up Rufus, a teenage warlock her age. How does she know him? She wants them to go out and have fun stirring up mischief. Ambrose can't discourage her, and Rufus asks what he's doing here. Good thing he wasn't in the bathroom at the time. You'd think Hilda would know better after 200 years. Naturally, a jerk like him doesn't want to ask Sabrina out because she's a square. He says he could at least force himself to be humble. Sure is nice of him to agree to humor Hilda, who he's on a first-name basis with, so they aren't exactly related, are they? I don't know. She never gets out, so how did she know him? The witch internet in the 70s? Are they in the same book club? Sabrina's told that Rufus wants to take her out for a soda, and she's pressured by Hilda into agreeing. Naturally, Sabrina isn't happy to be with him because he's arrogant for no reason. He doesn't even explain himself. Sabrina thinks a kitten is cute and pets it, wondering if it's lost. Rufus is a complete moron as he doesn't take the obvious hint and just summons a dog to chase her, and makes the excuse that he's seeing if she could find her way home. If Scourge was this way with Fiona, she wouldn't have given him a chance past the first 10 seconds. At least get her trust first. Sabrina tells him that was very cruel, and says she doesn't like that sort of thing. If she was smart, she would at least explain herself, if not turn him into a frog here. But instead, he doesn't get the hint and makes sure a girl gets splashed with water by a car driving by. At least it's not skeevy like forcing the woman to date him. You'd think a lot more witches would be like Sabrina and would travel around taking away the powers of witches for abusing them. Sabrina uses magic to dry her off as Rufus laughs. Then he thinks that maybe she'll love this and wreck someone's car. Why doesn't he get the hint? Does he not actually care? Maybe he was smart enough to know from the start that he'd have no chance with Sabrina, but not smart enough that he'd just warp back home immediately. Well, then Hilda might summon him all over again, for all he knows. If he was really smart, he'd behave the whole time. Hilda's wanted him to not do that, but he's just risking Sabrina's wrath the whole time. She fixes the car, and he's dumb enough to ask why she did that. Maybe he's doing this all because he hates mortals, but he doesn't say that. In fact, he says that there isn't a mortal living that could upset him. Huh? Then why does he bully them if he doesn't hate them? Sabrina gets some tough guys that Sabrina summoned mad at him, and he gets chased by them as the story ends. Too bad we don't get to see him get beaten up. I don't want to see gore, that's obvious, but not even bruises in his arm in a sling. We could have gotten rid of the padding and had room. Technically, Hilda did get Sabrina to do some mischief, but it was mischief against Rufus instead. In the next story, Zelda tells Sabrina that the patio is chipping and peeling. Since when did they have a patio? Is this a parallel universe? Sabrina decides to paint it, and Zelda doesn't get immediately that she wants to use magic to varnish and dry it. That's odd, because while Sabrina does insist on not using her powers occasionally, it's very rare, so it shouldn't be seen as a standard part of her personality. I'd hate the animated series comic if she was barely using magic at all. Imagine a story in the Sabrina series where a guy is being a jerk the whole time, and Sabrina never uses magic against them once, and just keeps saying that it would be wrong to do so. What would be the point? They want to have a barbecue, and they zap up some stuff. But then Hilda slips on the patio that Sabrina specifically said was dried. But maybe she just forgot to make it dry? Hilda gets carried to the sofa and a damp washcloth is put on her head. She tells them to stop fussing over her and treating her like she belongs in a rest home. She then fails to learn her lesson and slips and hits her head all over again. I guess it was supposed to be funny. I'm kinda smiling as Sabrina says, I sure wish she had given us a chance to tell her about the freshly varnished deck. In the next story, Sabrina surprisingly tells Harvey up front that she thinks a woman is out to get Harvey away from her. At least that's good communication for once. Harvey thinks she's got her all wrong. To be fair, Sabrina's got a jealous streak and has been wrong occasionally, but most of the time she's been right about those women. Diane makes fun of Sabrina by saying, Love that suit, Sabrina. Loved it last year too, and the year before. Harvey the idiot doesn't take the hint from his jealous girlfriend and asks Diane to sit with them if she's not with anyone. Diane suggests going for a swim, and Sabrina says that she could use some cooling off. And Diane tells them that when they were kids, they'd bury each other in the sand. Diane says that she was always the fastest one. Sabrina says she's called Fast Diane, and she's annoyed at that. Sabrina tells Diane that she never beat her at anything, and she knows it. Diane says that she'll bury her, and Sabrina will bury her, and Harvey will time them. Sabrina's briefly unhappy about the idea because they're all wet, and she's told they could just go into the water to wash off. Then someone from the newspaper takes a picture of Sabrina like that to get some good beach shots for the weekend edition of the Daily Flash. Diane told him that she tried to set up something unusual for him, and he makes the mistake of making fun of Sabrina. He's lucky she didn't abuse her powers against him for that. Predictably, Sabrina buries her up to the head in just a second when Harvey was looking away. And she can't move. So Sabrina satisfyingly throws her own words back in her face and the story ends. In the next story, Sabrina's sitting on Hilda's flying broom as Hilda's about to go on a long journey to get potion ingredients. Why can't they just warp to that place? Is it enchanted? Why? Can't you warp to right beside it? Zelda asks why they can't just conjure up the ingredients. The writer finally got told to address this, only to have Zelda be the one asking this when she should know better after centuries. And Hilda's explanation is nonsensical. Ingredients that are conjured up are never as fresh and wholesome as the real thing. Bullshit. What was the writer thinking? It'd make more sense if she just said that you can't create new magic. And potion ingredients have magic of their own. If the writer's not skilled enough to fill in a plot hole like this, he shouldn't bother. Zelda says it's getting a little chilly, and Hilda says it's because they're heading towards the North Pole for tundra grass. A witch could cast a spell to make something as fresh as they want. Somehow, Hilda thinks Zelda's just joking when she complains that she might get pneumonia. Why didn't Hilda just use magic to make a heat bubble around them that would keep it the same temperature as where they started? Wouldn't that be something all witches would do? Wouldn't that be part of the broom spells? It turns out there's a polar bear after the tundra grass, and Sabrina stupidly wastes time warning them about it instead of zapping it away. And somehow, Hilda's zap freezes in midair. Beams don't work like that. Her zaps are beams of light. That's stupid. So, was it actually sending gas out of her finger that glows all along? And so the gas can freeze? So they have to run back to the brooms, and fortunately, they still have the tundra grass. And there were at least some consequences to the tense scene because the polar bear bit some cloth off Zelda's clothes. Their next ingredient is in the jungles of Brazil, because they need vines. I guess they're going here instead of a potion shop because it's free. Zelda falls because she got snagged by them, and she gets zapped free and falls in quicksand. Hilda lampshades that she can't seem to stay out of trouble. Why doesn't Sabrina just instantly zap her out of there instead of pulling her by a rope? How heavy is Zelda? Zelda somehow thinks she aged 30 years back home because she's that insecure and paranoid? When does she know she looks the same? So she's not happy at getting a potion from the ingredients that only makes you look 5 years younger. That is a pathetic amount of years, and most people wouldn't notice the difference at her age, but that still doesn't justify Zelda chasing after her with a broom. But Hilda's potion was underwhelmingly useless. If witches can make potions like that, why didn't Hilda... Well, she can't drink them because everyone in the neighborhood already knows what she's supposed to look like and they wouldn't recognize her anymore if she looked younger. But Hilda and Zelda didn't have that problem in the 90s comic when they had makeovers. No one commented that they looked different. She would still get better treatment from people if she drank the potions outside the neighborhood and drank an antidote at home. It should be explained that the potion tastes terrible. You'd think she would just be able to point at herself and make herself look younger. Also, Della is 800 years old, right? And she looks younger than Hilda, so it should be explained that Della looks young because she drinks potions. The first story is about Hilda making Sabrina go outside with some evil teenage witch that she somehow knows. And predictably, it doesn't end well. Why did Sabrina wait so long to get revenge on him? He proved he was hopeless instantly. This story would have been a lot shorter. How does he think no mortal could upset him if he wants to bully them? I guess she hoped that she could talk him out of it, but she should have just turned him into a frog after the second time. The second story is about Hilda tripping and hitting her head on the newly varnished patio twice because somehow Sabrina didn't try it with her magic when she said she did. The third story takes way too long to get to the part where the jerk woman gets buried up to her head by Sabrina. I understand making a character a jerk because they're a villain, but the story can easily become bad if there's too much focus on it. The final story is about Hilda taking Zelda on a flying broom ride to get some potion ingredients for free from a tundra with a polar bear in a jungle, and Zelda suffers a bunch of mishaps because of it, and gets mad at her because the potion she made wasn't good enough. It's pretty easy to think of a story where the main characters are looking for MacGuffins and that's their only goal. Anyone could do it. At least stuff happened in the journey, but it was all predictable stuff. So it's a good thing that we're not told about what the next destination is until the last minute. From the very start, I was just wondering why Sabrina was coming along. I guess she was just that curious and had nothing to do. But by this point, I'd expect her to want to stay home reading a book or be with Harvey, not do witch stuff. It surprised me that they weren't going to a witch mart to get some potions, or to one place where Hilda was storing potion ingredients in a haunted house, or to the outdoor witch's shop. But this does make more sense. It's free. And now we know why witches don't always do this. But the excuse for why they didn't just conjure up the ingredients was too confusing. Witches are omnipotent. If they can reverse time, they could make the food they zapped up be as fresh as they want. Especially if they wouldn't know what the non-fresh versions taste like, so they wouldn't be able to imagine them anyways.